Okay, so I'm here today with Lena, of course. Always have to be here with Lena.
Sure.
And we're trying to get her to not play with the microphone cord. Right. This is Mirian Hasani. She is a cat behaviorist for 6 years now.
Yes.
I want to start with talking about scent sharing. So this is to do with the series that we're going to create on, cat introductions.
It's okay.
Tell me your background, tell me your education.
I studied Cat Behaviorist for 2 years and a half. Got my degree, and then I went to another school and I studied cat behavior and psychology, which I find very, very interesting. And I'm still studying. Every day something new. Every day I learn something new about cats. So it's never-ending learning.
So in terms of introductions, what do you think, or what do you encounter as the biggest problem when people are trying to introduce cats or introduce their cats to dogs?
People move way too fast. They decide that, keeping the cat separate for about 2 days, it's long enough. And if the cat probably is getting a little bit antsy or whatever, they say, it's time, let's go. And they open the door and they let the cat out of the room, and that will create the big problem.
Right, which is usually when you get called in because the big problems, the fights and the hiding, that's all kind of gotten set in stone by the time you're on
right,
scene,
and also because a lot of people will go online and will read about introduction and they say, I know what to do. I put the cat in a room, I'll open the door when it's ready and everything will be okay. What they don't tell them is introduction has several steps. And you have to go step by step. You have to take the time to let your cat adjust to the new cat. You cannot just open the door and, expect them to get along.
Why is that?
Because cats are very territorial. You have a cat that has been resident in this place for like a year, 2 years, 3 years, and all of a sudden you're bringing a new cat in his territory or her territory, and it's like, no, I'm not gonna accept that intruder, because it's an intruder out of the blue. You just give them time to adjust, to get used to them, to get to know them, and then they will,
So when we're talking time, what does that look like typically?
I would say typically, and it's not what you can find online, but typically it could go from 2 weeks to maybe...
Typically, how long can people expect to take introducing their cats to other cats?
Okay, that is very difficult to predict. It has to do with the temperament of the cats. It has to do with the age of the cats. Kittens will get along very easily, probably 2-3 days and they're fine. The younger they are, the easier it is. The older they are, the harder it is. So if you have an older cat and you're bringing in a kitten or a young cat, that will take longer. It needs time to adjust. It needs time to learn and to find out what is the new cat up to. It also needs time to teach the new cat boundaries. It has to teach the boundaries, because otherwise the new cat will be all over the place. I would say probably minimum 3-4 weeks, and then some cats will take 2-3 months. I have had cats they took like 6 months, and finally they got together, and they're okay now. But it will test your patience, it will test your determination, it will test everything you have. It's not easy. It's not an easiest thing to do. Introduction, people will say, I'll take the cat home, I'll put it in a room, and then after a few days I'll open the door. No, it's not how it goes. Very rarely you will have a cat, 1 in 1,000 maybe, that you will bring home, you will open the carrier, and this cat will get along with the resident cat immediately.
What Mirian taught me was to take a sock and do the scent sharing between them, because she's always said, well, you're not going to attack yourself. If the other cat smells like you're not going to attack yourself. Mm-hmm. So tell us like what that looks like, how like whose scent do you get on them first, kind of what that process is?
Okay, so I call it group scent. And I call it that way because cats in a colony, they usually recognize each other. Like if feral cats, you have a colony of feral cats, and they live all together, male, female, kittens, all of them, and they all recognize each other. But if one intruder, one cat from another colony or just a loner comes into the colony, they will attack him and they will chase him away. Why? Because he doesn't smell like them. The cats have to recognize each other like part of a group, like they belong together. So yes, it is important that the cats will have like alternate run of the house, because they go and they rub against the furniture, they rub against anything that they find, and they leave their scent behind. And then the other cat comes out, and then he does the same thing. So that's kind of like a non-threatening way to get to know the other cat, to get familiar with that scent. But there is the most important step of introduction, which is called group scent. And what I always tell all my clients is, you take a sock. Some people say you can do it with a brush. I really don't like the brush. I like the sock because, first of all, you get more scent on a sock than a brush. And also when you pet the cat with the sock, it's it's gentler than a brush, and some cats don't like to be brushed too. So you put that sock over your hand and you go to your resident cat first, because that's his territory and he's the one who usually reacts to the new cat. Sometimes the new cat is a dominant cat, and then he will react first. So you have to figure out which one, but usually it's the resident cat. So you go there, you pet the resident cat, you pet his cheeks, his chin, all his face, because all the friendly glands are around his face. That's why they rub their faces when they come. And you rub all that, you pet it, a couple times, 3-4 times, and then you go to the new cat and you rub the new cat. And you're gonna do that for like a week, and then you're gonna go full circle. Resident cat, new cat, back to the resident cat. So you're gonna put the scent of the new cat on the resident cat. After a week and a half or 2 or 3, whenever they're ready, when they kind of get close to each other, when the time is good, then they're gonna smell each other and they're like, you smell familiar. See, and that's it. That's gonna really help them get integrated. But
so I started giving them treats when I would do the scent sharing, so that they would associate each other's scent with happiness, which is something Jackson Galaxy also talks about. That every time they do not let them see each other until they have familiarized themselves with each other's scent. Because it's the seeing that becomes the real problem when it's too early.
That's the threatening part. You can give a few treats to your cat, because it's going to be like, wait a second, why is she petting me with this thing on her hand, something like that. So then you go to the new cat and you do exactly the same thing. Once you're done with that, you take that sock, you don't wash it, you don't do anything to that sock. You take that sock, you put it in a Ziploc bag and you put it away. And I usually suggest my clients to do it 2, 3, 4 times a day. I mean, however, whatever time they have to do it, they can do it. If one of the cat is kind of resistant to be touched with the sock because they can smell some weird scent on it, that's okay. Don't force them. You just take off the sock and put it on the ground and put some treats around it and leave it there. Let the cat kind of sniff it when, he thinks he's okay,
Interesting.
You don't have to force them.
Okay. All right.
And then, you put it away, you do it the second time. I've had clients where, and I've seen it myself, where you pet the first cat and then you go to the second cat and you want to pet them, and the cats will go like this, It's like, no, don't touch me.
Not with that, yeah.
Not with that. That's okay. Put the sock down, put some treats, and walk away. And then the cat will go there and sniff it and kind of get used to that scent. After 2-3 times, you will be able to touch. For the first week and a half, again, it depends on the cats and the temperament. You do it one way, from the resident to the new cat, or, just like that. Then after a week and a half, if you see that the cats are perfectly fine with the exercise and you don't have any animosity or anything like that, then you do a full circle, meaning you go from resident to new cat and then back to the resident, and then you pet the resident with the same sock. So then you're putting the resident scent on the new cat, and then you're putting the new cat scent on the resident. And that's how you're creating the group scent.
I think that's such an important step, because
Very
when you're just taking their furniture that they've slept on and putting it in the other room and switching that back and forth, what I noticed with my kitten with Greta was that when I took out her tree and like a blanket or whatever, Lena commandeered it, and then Greta didn't feel like it was her own ever again, because Lena's the dominant, so she won't even touch those things anymore.
Yeah.
So even if I brought it back into the bedroom, she would, or to Greta's room, she'd smell it and be like, "Oh, it's not mine anymore."
Well, I which is okay, but I have a softer way, let's say, of doing that part. The first step of an introduction is the group scent, period. That's the most important
So
one.
would you feed them in the, do they do feeding times at the same time, like on the other side of the door?
That's going to be down.
Any other
Not right
introductions
now.
at all?
Not right now. The first part of my introduction is the group scent. The cats are separate. Now, the second step, which can be done in combination with the group scent, is alternate run of the house. It's not taking this one, sorry Lena, and putting it outside or in the other room. It's actually bringing the new cat in another room and letting the resident cat go out, or bringing the resident cat in and letting the new one go out.
Yeah.
And so then they themselves are going to go and rub themselves around on the furniture, on the objects and stuff.
Right.
Then the other one will come out, sniff, sniff, sniff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, this smells weird.
Yeah.
And then, he's going to cover that smell, then the other one. And they're going to work it out like that. But they can sniff that there is somebody else in that house, but it's not threatening because they cannot see it. Once they see it, that's where the problem starts. That's why we have to go slow, slow, slow until we get to the point where they see each other.
Right.
But at least by the time we get to where they can see each other, they're fully aware, first of all, that there is somebody else. Yeah. Second, they're kind of familiar with the scent. So it's like, okay, now I really don't have a problem here. You just let them adjust, yeah.
Thanks for watching the first installment of Why Are Cats?, where I talk to cat behaviorist Mirian Hasani to find out why cats do what they do and how we can help them live their best lives. Because when they're living their best lives, we're living better lives. For behind the scenes extras and tips and tricks that you won't find on this channel, I hope you'll visit my Patreon page. When you become a member, you'll get access to early content, extra content, some amazing perks like newsletters, and you'll even get a chance to win some free sessions with Mirian. And remember, as I always say, save a cat, transform a human.